Act 2. Village roadside. On left the door of a forge, with broken wheels, etc. lying about. A well near centre with board above it, and room to pass behind it. Martin Dool is sitting near forge, cutting sticks. Timmy, heard hammering inside forge, then calls, "Let you make haste out there. I'll be putting up new fires at the turn of day, and you haven't had the half of them cut yet." Martin Dool, gloomily, "It's destroyed, I'll be whacking your old thorns till the turn of day. And I, with no food in my stomach, would keep the life in a pig." He turns towards the door. "Let you come out here and cut them yourself if you want them cut. For there's an hour every day when a man has a right to his rest." Timmy, coming out with a hammer, impatiently. "Do you want me to be driving you off again to be walking the roads? There you are now, and I give you your food in a corner to sleep and money with it. And to hear the talk of you, you'd think I was after beating you or stealing your gold." Martin Dool. "You'd do it handy maybe if I'd gold to steal." Timmy throws down hammer, picks up some of the sticks already cut, and throws them into door. "There's no fear of you having gold, a lazy, basking fool the like of you." Martin Dool. "And I hear it with yourself, for it's more I got a while since, and I sitting blinding and grinning, and I get in this place working hard and destroying myself the length of the day." Timmy, stopping with amazement. "Working hard?" He goes over to him. "I'll teach you to work hard, Martin Dool. Strip off your coat now and put this tuck in your sleeves and cut the lot of them while I'd rake the ashes from the forge, or I'll not put up with you another hour itself." Martin Dool, horrified. "Would you have me getting my desk sitting out in the black wintry air with no coat on me at all?" Timmy, with authority. "Strip it off now, or walk down upon the road." Martin Dool, bitterly. "Oh, God help me." He begins taking off his coat. "I've heard tell you strip the sheets from your wife, and you're putting her down into her grave, and that there isn't the like of you for plucking your living ducks, the short days, and leaving them running about in their skins, and in great rains in the cold." He tucks up his sleeves. "I've heard of however queer things of yourself, and there isn't one of them I'll not believe from this day and be telling to the boys." Timmy, pulling over a big stick. "Let you cut that now, and give me a rest from your talk, for I'm not heeding you at all." Martin Dool, taking stick. "That's a hard, terrible stick, Timmy. And isn't it a poor thing to be cutting the strong timber the like of that, when it's cold the bark is and slippy with the frost of the air?" Timmy, gathering up another armful of sticks. "What way wouldn't it be cold, and it freezing since the moon has changed?" He goes into the forge. "What way, indeed, Timmy? For it's a raw, beastly day we do have each day, till I do be thinking it's well for the blind don't be seeing the like of them grey clouds driving on the hill, and don't be looking on people with their noses red the like of your nose, and their eyes weeping and watering the like of your eyes, God help you, Timmy the smith." Timmy, seen blinking in doorway. "Is it turning now you're against your sight? It's a hard thing for a man to have his sight, and he living near to the like of you." He cuts a stick and throws it away. "Or wed with a wife," cuts a stick, "and I do be thinking it should be a hard thing for the Almighty God to be looking on the world bad days and on men the like of yourself walking around in it, and they slipping each way in the muck." Timmy, with pot hooks, which he taps on anvil. "You'd have a right to be minding Martin Dool, for it's a power the St. Kier lose their sight after a while. It's well you know Mary Dool's dimming again, and I'm thinking the Lord, if he hears you making that talk, will have little pity left for you at all." Martin Dool. "There's not a bit of fear of me losing my sight. And if it's a dark day itself, it's too well I see every wicked wrinkle you have round by your eye." Timmy, looking at him sharply. "Dark day, is it? The day's not dark since the clouds broke in the east." Martin Dool. "Let ye not be tormenting yourself trying to make me afeard. You told me a power of bad lies the time I was blind, and it's right now for you to stop and be taking your rest." Mary Dool comes in unnoticed on right, with a sack filled with green stuff on her arm. "For it's little ease or quiet any person would get if the big folks of Ireland weren't weary at times." He looks up and sees Mary Dool. "Oh, glory be to God, she's coming again." He begins to work busily with his back to her. Timmy, amused, to Mary Dool as she is going by without looking at them. "Look on him now, Mary Dool. You'd be a great one for keeping him steady at his work, for he's after idling and blathering to this hour from the dawn of day." Mary Dool, stiffly. "Of what is it you're speaking, Timmy the smith?" "Of himself, surely. Look at him there, and he with the shirt on him ripping from his back. He'd have a right to come round his night, I'm thinking, and put a stitch in his shoulders, but it's long enough you're not speaking one to another." Mary Dool. Let the two of you not torment me at all. She goes out left, with her head in the air. Martindale stops work and looks after her. Well, isn't it a queer thing she can't keep herself 2 days without looking on my face? Timmy, jeeringly. Looking on your face, is it? And she after going by with her head turned the way you'd see a sainted lady going where there'd be a drunken people in the side ditch singing to themselves. Martindale gets up and goes to the corner of Forge and looks out left. Come back here and don't mind her at all. Come back here, I'm saying. You've got no call to be spying behind her since she went off and left you in place of breaking her heart trying to keep you in the decency of clothes and food. You know rightly, Timmy. It was myself drove her away. That's a lie you're telling. Yet it's little I care which one of you is driving the other. And let you walk back here, I'm saying, to your work. Martindale, turning round. I'm coming, surely. He stops and looks out right, going a step or two towards centre. On what is it you're gaping, Martindale? There's a person walking above. It's Molly Byrne, I'm thinking, coming down with her can. If she is itself, let you not be idle in this day, or minding her at all, and let you hurry with them sticks, for I'll want you in the short while to be blown in the forge. He throws down pot hooks. Is it roasting me now, you'd be? He turns back and sees pot hooks. He takes them up. Pot hooks? Is it over them you've been inside sneezing and sweating since the dawn of day? Timmy, resting himself on anvil, with satisfaction. I'm making a power of things you do have when you're settling with a wife, Martindale. For I heard tell last night the saint will be passing again in a short while, and I'd have him wed Molly with myself. He'd do it, I've heard them say, for not a penny at all. Martindale lays down hooks and looks at him steadily. Molly'll be saying great praises now to the Almighty God, and he giving her a fine, stout, hearty man the like of you. And why wouldn't she, if she's a fine woman itself? Martindale looking upright. Why wouldn't she indeed, Timmy? The Almighty God made a fine match in the two of you. For if you went marrying a woman was the like of yourself, you'd be having the fearfulest little children I'm thinking was ever seen in the world. Timmy, seriously offended. God forgive you, if you're an ugly man to be looking at, I'm thinking your tongue is worse than your view. Martindale, hurt also. Isn't it destroyed with the cold I am? And if I'm ugly itself, I never seen anyone the like of you for dreepiness in this day, Timmy the Smith. And I'm thinking now of yourself coming above, you'd have the right to step up onto your old shanty and give a rub to your face and not be sitting there with your bleary eyes and your big nose and the like of an old scarecrow stuck down upon the road. She's no call to mind what way I look, and I after building a house with 4 rooms in it above on the hill. But it's a queer thing the way yourself and Mary Dole are after setting every person in this place, and up beyond to Rap Vanna talking of nothing and thinking of nothing but the way they do be looking in the face. Going towards Forge. It's the devil's work you're after doing with your talk of fine looks, and I'll do right maybe to step in and wash the blackness from my eyes. He goes into Forge. Martindale rubs his face furtively with the tail of his coat. Molly Byrne comes on right with a water can and begins to fill it at the well. Martindale. God save you, Molly Byrne. Molly Byrne, indifferently. God save you. Martindale. It's a dark, gloomy day, and the Lord have mercy on us all. Molly Byrne. Middling dark. It's a power of dirty days and dark mornings and shabby-looking fellows. He makes a gesture over his shoulder. We do have be looking on when we have our sight, God help us, but there's one fine thing we have, to be looking on a grand, white, handsome girl the like of you. And every time I set my eyes on you, I do be blessing the saints in the holy water and the power of the Lord Almighty in the heavens above. Molly Byrne. I've heard the priest say it isn't looking on a young girl would teach many to be saying their prayers. Bawling water into her can with a cup. Martindale. It isn't many have been the way I was, hearing your voice speaking and not seeing you at all. Molly Byrne. That should have been a queer time for an old wicked coaxing fool to be sitting there with your eyes shut and not seeing a sight of a girl or woman passing on the road. Martindale. If it was a queer time itself, it was a great joy and pride I had the time I'd heard your voice speaking and you passing agreeing, beginning to speak with plaintive intensity. For it's of many a fine thing your voice would put a poor dark fellow in mind, and the day I'd heard it, it's of little else at all I would be thinking. Molly Byrne. I'll tell your wife if you talk to me like that. You've heard, maybe, she's below picking nettles for the widow of Flynn, who took great pity on her when she seen the two of you fighting, and yourself putting shame on her at the crossing of the roads. Is there no living person can speak a score of words to me, or say Godspeed itself without putting me in mind of the old woman or that day they're agreeing in? Mollyburn, I was thinking it should be a fine thing to put you in mind of the day you called the grand day of your life. Martin Dool, grand day, is it? Or a bad black day when I was roused up and found I was the like of the little children do be listening to the stories of an old woman and do be dreaming after in the dark night that it's in grand houses of gold they are, with speckled horses to ride, and do be waking again in short while, and they destroyed with the cold, and the thatch dripping maybe, and the starved ass braying in the yard. Mollyburn, working indifferently. You've a great romancing this day, Martin Dool. Was it up at the still you were at the fall of night? It was not, Mollyburn, but lying down in the little rickety shed. Lying down across a sop of straw, and I thinking I was seeing you walk, and hearing the sounds of your step on a dry road, and hearing you again, and you laughing and making a great talk in a high room with dry timber lining the roof. For it's a fine sound your voice has that time, and it's better I'm thinking lying down, the way a blind man does be lying, than to be sitting here in the grey light, taking hard words from Timmy the Smith. It's queer talk you have if it's a little old shabby stump of a man you are itself. It's not so old as you do hear them say. Mollyburn, you're old, I'm thinking, to be talking that way to a girl. Martin Dool, despondingly, it's not a lie you're telling, maybe, for it's long years I'm after losing from the world, feeling love and talking love with the old woman, and I fool the whole while with the lies of Timmy the Smith. Mollyburn, it's a fine way you're wanting to pay Timmy the Smith. And it's not his lies you're making love to this day, Martin Dool. Martin Dool, it is not Molly. But with the good looks of yourself, passing behind her and coming near her left. For if it's old I am, maybe I've heard tell there are lands beyond in Care Iverig, and the reeks of Cork with warm sun in them, and fine light in the sky. Bending towards her, and light's a grand thing for a man ever was blind, or a woman with a fine neck and skin on her the like of you. The way we'd have a right to go off this day till we'd have a fine life passing abroad through them towns of the south, and we telling stories maybe, or singing songs at the fairs. Mollyburn, turning round half amused, and looking him over from head to foot. Well, isn't it a queer thing when your own wife's after leaving you, because you had a pitiful show you'd talk the like of that to me? It's a queer thing maybe for all things is queer in the world. But there's one thing I'm telling you. If she walked off away from me, it wasn't because of seeing me, and I know more than I am, but because I was looking on her with my two eyes, and she getting up and eating her food, and combing her hair and lying down for her sleep. Molly, interested, off her guard. Wouldn't any married man you have be doing the like of that? Martin Dool, seizing the moment that he has her attention. I'm thinking by the mercy of God it's few sees anything but them is blind for a space. It's few sees the old woman rotting for the grave, and it's few sees the like of yourself. He bends over her, though it's shining you are, like a high lamp would dragging the ships out of the sea. Keep off me, Martin Dool. Martin Dool, quickly, with a low, furious intensity. He puts his hand on her shoulder and shakes her. You do right, I'm saying, not to marry a man as after looking out a long while in the bad days of the world. For what way would the like of him have fit the eyes to look on yourself, when you rise up in the morning and come out of the little door you have above in the lane, the time you'd be a fine thing if a man would be seeing and losing his sight, the way he'd have your two eyes facing him, and he'd go on the roads and shining above them, and he'd looking into the sky, and springing up from the earth the time he'd lower his head in place of the muck that seeing men do meet all roads spread on the world. Mollyburn, starting away. It's the like of that talk you do hear from a man would be losing his mind. Martin Dool goes after her, passing to her right. It'd be little wonder if a man near the like of you would be losing his mind. Put down your can now, and come along with myself, for I am seeing you this day, seeing you maybe the way no man has seen you in the world. He takes her by the arm and tries to pull her away softly to the right. Let ye come on now, I'm saying, to the lands of Ivor, and the reeks of Cork, where you won't set down the width of your 2 feet and not be crushing fine flowers, and making sweet smells in the air. Molly Byrne, laying down can, trying to free herself. Leave me go, Martin Dool. Leave me go, I'm saying. Come along now. Let ye come on the little path through the trees. Molly Byrne, crying out towards forge. Timmy the Smith! Timmy comes out of the forge, and Martin Dool lets her go. Molly Byrne, excited and breathless, pointing to Martin. Did you ever hear that them that loses their sight loses their sense along with them, Timmy the Smith? Timmy, suspicious but uncertain. He's no sense, surely, and he'll be having himself driven off this day from where he's good sleeping and feeding and wages for his work. Molly Byrne, as before. He's a bigger fool than that, Timmy. Look on him now, and tell me if that isn't a grand fellow to think he's only to open his mouth to have a fine woman, the like of me, running along by his heels. Martin Dool recoils towards centre, with his hand to his eyes. Mary Dool is seen on left, coming forward softly. Oh, the blind is wicked people, and it's no lie. But he'll walk off this day and not be troubling us more. He walks back left and picks up Martin Dool's coat and stick. Some things fall out of the coat pocket, which he gathers up again. Martin Dool turns round, sees Mary Dool, whispers to Molly Byrne with imploring agony. Let you not put shame on me, Molly, before herself and the Smith. Let you not put shame on me, and I after saying fine words to you in dreams in the night. He hesitates and looks round the sky. Is it a storm of thunder is coming? Or the last end of the world? He staggers towards Mary Dool, tripping slightly over a tin can. The heavens is closing. I'm thinking with darkness and great trouble passing in the sky. He reaches Mary Dool and seizes her with both his hands, with a frantic cry. Is it the darkness of thunder is coming, Mary Dool? Do you see me clearly with your eyes? Mary Dool snatches her arm away and hits him with empty sack across the face. I see your sight too clearly, and let you keep off from me now. Molly Byrne clapping her hands. That's all right, Mary. That's the way to treat the like of him, is after standing there at my feet and asking me to go off with him, till I'd grow an old wretched road woman the like of yourself. Mary Dool defiantly. When the skin shrinks in your chin, Molly Byrne, there won't be the like of you for a shrug hag in the four quarters of Ireland. It's a fine pair you'd be, surely. Martin Dool is standing at back right centre with his back to the audience. Timmy, coming over to Mary Dool. Is it no shame you have to let on she'd ever be the like of you? Mary Dool. It's them that's fat and flabby do be wrinkled young, and that whitish yellowy hair she does soon be turning the like of a handful of thin grass you'd see rotten where the wet lies at the north of a sty. Turning to go out on right. Ah, isn't it a grand thing for the like of your make to be sitting fools mad a short while, and that to be turning a ting will drive off the little children from your feet? She goes out. Martin Dool has come forward again, mastering himself, but uncertain. Timmy. Oh, God protect us, Molly, from the words of the blind. He throws down Martin Dool's coat and stick. There's your old rubbish now, Martin Dool. Let you take it up, for it's all you have, and if I ever meet you coming again, if it's seeing or blind you are itself, I'll bring out the big hammer and hit you a welt with it to leave you easy till the judgment day. Martin Dool, rousing himself with an effort. What call have you to talk like that with myself? Timmy, pointing to Molly Byrne. It's well you know what call I have. It's well you know a decent girl I'm thinking to wed has no right to have her heart scalded with hearing talk and queer bad talk I'm thinking from a raggy-looking fool the like of yourself. It's making game of you, she is. But what seeing girl would marry with yourself? Look on him, Molly. Look on him, I'm saying, for seeing him still, and let you raise your voice. For the time has come, and bid him go up into his forge, and be sitting there by himself, sneezing and sweating, and he beating pot hooks till the judgment day. He seizes her arm again. Molly Byrne. Keep him off on me, Timmy. Timmy, pushing Martin Dool aside. Would you have me strike you, Martin Dool? Go along now after your wife, who's a fit match for you, and leave Molly with myself. Martin Dool, despairingly. Won't you raise your voice, Molly, and lay hell's long curse on his tongue? Molly Byrne, on Timmy's left. I won't be telling him it's destroyed I am with the sight of you and the sound of your voice. Go off now after your wife, and if she beats you again, let you go after the tinker's girls as above running the hills, or down among the sluts of the town, and you'll hear one day, maybe, the way a man should speak with a well-reared civil girl the like of me. She takes Timmy by the arm. Come up now, into the forge till he's gone down a bit on the road, for it's near a fear I am of the wild look he has come in his eyes. She goes into the forge. Timmy stops in the doorway. "Let me not find you out here again, Martin Dool." He bares his arm. "It's well you know Timmy the Smith has great strength in his arm, and it's a power of things it has broken a sight harder than the old bone of your skull." He goes into the forge and pulls the door after him. Martin Dool stands a moment with his hand in his eyes. "And that's the last thing I'm to set my sight on in the life of the world. The villainy of a woman and the bloody strength of a man. Oh God, pity a poor blind fellow the way I am this day, with no strength in me to do hurt to them at all." He begins groping about for a moment, then stops. "Yet if I have no strength in me, I've a voice left for my prayers. And may God blight them this day, and my own soul the same hour with them, the way I'll see them after. Molly Byrne and Timmy the Smith, the two of them in a high bed and they screeching in hell. It'll be a grand thing that time to look on the two of them, and they twisting and roaring out and twisting and roaring again one day and the next day, and each day always and ever. It's not blind I'll be that time, and it won't be hell to me I'm taking, but the like of heaven itself, and it's fine care I'll be taking the Lord Almighty doesn't know." He turns to grope out. Curtain.